Welcome back, guys. We're Delgado Entertainment Law, and look, we deal with all things music law, record label deals. We've represented both sides. We've done the big deals with the majors. We've represented the little guys. And something that comes up a lot is just about 360 deals. Like, what do they mean? How do they work? And there's some sneaky stuff that we're going to talk about. So, where we thought we would kind of start with this is just to say, sometimes things come up. Like Gigi, you were kind of mentioning, well, sometimes we have clients who might sign something. So, I don't know. What's been your experience with this?
Yeah, so oftentimes we'll have clients sign agreements. Sometimes they may not always know exactly what's in the agreement when they first sign it, but after they take a look at a couple of things and really see what's going on, sometimes it's not exactly what they thought was going on in the first place.
Yeah, well, look, and here's the thing. Sometimes the pressure tactics, if it's a record label, the pressure tactic is they rush you, okay? And here's the thing, when they're like, you have to sign this by Tuesday at 2 p.m., and it's like the day before, they're doing this to create urgency. And, I'm not saying it's to try to prevent you from getting an attorney, but you have to be careful because this urgency is not real. And so you have to be kind of careful and know that you want to take the time to make sure you know what you're signing.
For sure. And for a lot of people, seeing a contract or receiving a contract from a record label or any other person, really, most people are very intimidated by the contract. They don't feel like they have a right to make proposals or make any changes or really ask for anything because they feel like they're already just so privileged to receive the contract in the first place that they're just afraid to ask for anything.
Totally. I've literally had clients who just go, I don't want to seem like I'm being too picky or that I'm annoying to work with. Like clients have literally said this to me. But what I say is this is industry standard. The contract is supposed to represent what you both want. It's not just what they want, but equally, that's why we're here. We are here to be the annoying, aggressive, demanding person on your behalf. You don't have to be, so that's okay.
For sure, for sure. And as they say, closed mouth don't get fed. And so even if you do respond with something or request a change, the worst that they can tell you is no. But just remember, you don't have to agree to anything that you don't want to agree to. Even though you may want the opportunity really badly, remember there are certain things that you probably just don't want to give up, and that's okay too. Better opportunities will probably come later on.
100%. Okay, so Gigi, what is a 360 deal?
So, a 360 deal is a multiple rights deal that allows the label to participate in various revenue streams that are associated with the artist's career. When an artist usually signs a record label, they're usually only signing with respect to a music deal. But when you're in a 360 deal, it gives the label access to any other revenue streams outside of the music business. So that could mean TV, film, merchandising, concerts, live performances, any other entertainment activity outside of that that you can possibly participate in. They would now have access to not only the music revenue, but also the revenue from those other streams.
100%. And it, guys, it really, truly, it's not it may be, this is what it means. Now, if you have a contract right now with a record label and it doesn't say the words 360 on it, well, what we're going to share with you is that this language actually exists in pretty much every single record label deal that's done today. Okay. But we'll get more into that. But with what they're saying is they go, hey, we're going to make you a big star. When we make you a big star, you're going to get money from all these different places, and we want to participate in that. So, to a degree, we understand their argument, right? If they're going to get you on a tour, they want a little piece of the merchandise. And so, what we want to do and what you want to do, for example, you're watching this and you don't have an attorney just yet, is you just want to make sure that this percentage that the label is taking is as small as possible. Now, Gigi, I don't know what you've seen in the deals you've done, but we've had certain deals that come through where the label may be seeking up to 35% of the
Wow.
ancillary rights. Sorry, too much. So this is where you want to have a shark on your side to come in and be like, guys, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Especially in this day and age, we know that music streaming can fluctuate a lot. Sometimes the highs are high, but the lows are really low. Sometimes artists really rely on other revenue streams in
Sure.
order to make up for the money that they're not making from music.
Yeah, and so does the label. So, the 360 deal is just blatantly saying, "Hey, we're doing a deal." Basically, the record label just does distribution. They normally never ever promise to do marketing. They'll say it to you, right? If they're going to try to court you. We've had labels come and take our clients out for dinner. They fly them out to New York, get in a big conference room. Like they really try to sell on this experience that really has nothing to do with the contract. The contract in its four corners will just say, hey, we're your label. We're going to take these percentages. We're going to get you distribution, and that's it. And that's the amazing piece here because the promises are always all the other things. We're going to get you tours, we're going to get you marketing. That's why we wanted to
Mhm.
address this. Now, Gigi, when it comes to 360 deals, what are the things we need to know?
Specifically, when you see your contracts, you're not just going to see the words 360 deal. They're never just going to make it that obvious for you. Now, sometimes they will spell it out for you. For example, they may include the terms 360 rights, and that will usually refer to all the rights that they have in those different kind of revenue streams, and they'll make sure to list those streams out as well, whatever they may be. But the typical language that they may use will refer to entertainment activities. So if you see a contract and they are referencing entertainment activities and they specifically state that they are entitled to any revenue or any profits from any entertainment activities, then that's how you know, hey, this is probably a 360 deal if they have their hands in more pots than just my music.
100%. And I've also seen this as ancillary rights. They use these fancy words. It'll
Mhm.
be like at the last page of the contract and they go ancillary rights. And so what you need to know is where you see any percentages that's going to go to the label for anything other than the music. Again, unfortunately, it is industry standard, but this is a contract. And so having representation that can come in and either take it out altogether. That's a big boring move to get the whole thing taken out.
Mhm.
But oftentimes we are going to settle on some percentage, but it needs to be something really minimal. So my kind of sweet spot is 10% or less. Oftentimes they push for at least up to 25%. But here's the thing. We try to at least take off stuff that we don't want. So if you're a music producer watching this, I go, well, if you're a music producer, that means you're producing stuff as a form of your income. That's nothing to do with you making beats for a label. And so the label's going to say, I want a little piece of what you do as a service provider. And I go, absolutely not. This needs to be separate. So having someone to negotiate and say, I don't know, for example, if the artist or if a band is paying to create merchandise, well, is the label kicking in for the merch? If they're not, we're going to argue and we're going to say, no, 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 you don't get a piece of the merch. What else would you think of, Gigi?
Off the top of my head, let's say that you probably came into this music by chance, but you're really maybe an actress or an actor, and that's really your bread and butter. And let's say you also have a lot of motion in that area, or you have a lot of connection or network. That's something that you may want to keep for yourself that you don't necessarily need the record label to chime in on or to have any control on. That may be an avenue where you don't necessarily need the backing of a record label to help you with.
Here's the other thing too, just stuff like if you have a separate LLC, if you have a corporation, to Gigi's point, sometimes you don't even need the label. Okay, we are not anti-label, and in fact, we a big part of what we do is to try to get our clients to start their own music businesses, become your own record label, like really to get empowered. But when you are going to do this deal, if you find really a partner, like this is what it is. If it's a record label that can help you, think of it as a partnership. And so that's why it really is okay to come in and negotiate for what you want and not to feel like you are in a disadvantaged position where like you're just so grateful for the opportunity. No, no, no. If they're approaching you, it's because you have something that they want.
For sure. And to piggyback off of that, I know that 360 deals often get a bad rap, but they are not all bad. They can actually work for you and you can work with them if you have the right terms, right?
So, Gigi, I mean, when it comes to 360 deals or what otherwise sometimes just called a record deal, and then there will be language such as you said, entertainment activities, ancillary rights, it's basically a 360 deal. What would you say
Mhm.
is the best pro to it? What is the worst con?
I would say that the best pro is that if you get signed to a 360 deal by a major label, well, you can also count on a big push. Just like you want to make money, the label also wants to make money, and they will make sure that they make money in all of those different avenues that they decide to put you in. So, that's what I would say is the biggest pro out of all of them, because if you want to be a superstar, if you want to be a megastar, you want to make sure that you are visible across all audiences, across all platforms, and so, yeah, I think that's the one that I would say is the biggest pro. I would say that the biggest con about signing a 360 deal is how long you could end up in that contract for. I know a lot of my clients don't like to be in their contracts for long periods of time, especially if there's no backing, no support, no marketing behind them. It just seems like a never-ending contract with nothing coming about. So I would say
Sure.
that's probably the biggest con.
Yeah, well, and I think even inherent in what you just said is like, you know what? If it goes well, it's going to be great, right? If you get a machine, meaning the label, and you get a team and experience and a little Rolodex of contacts, like it could be super great. But that's the thing. It's a gamble. It's a gamble for you if you are signing with a label because the biggest thing you give up are usually the rights to your music. It is a huge trade-off. And so the thing that I just always emphasize, and I go, what is it that the label is offering to you? Okay, and understand what you are walking into. Because oftentimes these labels will say, hey, we're going to sign, we're going to take the 30% of your ancillary income. And then in exchange, we're also going to get ownership of your music. And they don't make any promises of any kind. And that's the scary
Mhm.
part of this. So that's why we're very much about like, make sure you know who you're going to do a deal with. If you get a quick contract and an email from someone you've never met before, don't sign it. Right?
Mhm.
Give us an opportunity to like look up this company, do a little research, review the contract. And then honestly, what we love to do is just to jump in and say if it's a new relationship, let's try something simple. This shouldn't be a 5 album deal where you're locked into this thing for 10 years. Like truly, that's what these contracts are. You could be like, hey, let's do a little EP. Let's do a single and see how it goes. But also inherent in what Gigi was sharing is that it could go really well. And that's why people want to sign with labels. They're like, oh, someone's going to come and make my life easier because they know how to do these things that I don't know how to do. But on the flip side, with the cons, that it could go terribly wrong. They don't do what they said they were going to do. They shelve you. They are in control of when your music comes out, how your music comes out, whether they like the music and make you go back to the drawing board. We've heard horror stories of people just being like, they kept squashing my music. It wasn't good enough. They thought it wouldn't hit. It wasn't viral enough. So we just always say, be very cautious, but that's why we're here. Because the point that you come to us and you say, hey, I have a contract, right? And I need it reviewed. We're going to help you through all of this to make sure that everything's buttoned up real good and you're not going to get taken advantage of. And then we're going to negotiate the best deal. That's the most important thing that Gigi was sharing, just about the term of the agreement, the percentages. So we want to set you up for success. And then if you happen to be watching this and you already signed a contract and you didn't have us look at it, that's okay too. Okay. A lot of what we do is to come in and just to see, is there a way to terminate the agreement? And even if there isn't, we still have ways to potentially get you out of the contract. So Gigi, this is definitely in your wheelhouse. You're one of our music attorneys. So if someone wants to get into touch with you or with our firm, how can they do that?
For sure. You can reach out to Delgado Entertainment Law right down in the link below. Schedule a consultation with us today, and we will get started with you ASAP.
We're Delgado Entertainment Law, and we'll see you on the next one.